So, my friends, I think that we have sound and we have um, so you have sound and you have a picture, and yeah, so that took a long time to figure it out. So we had various problems here. There was turned out that the laptop. Oh, I'm echoing. Um, yeah, so the problems were that somehow someone was here yesterday and disconnected the laptop. And so all kinds of things were disconnected. And then somehow all the settings for the broadcast platform we have were somehow scrambled. And so to understand the broadcast system anew was, I haven't gone that deeply into it before. So, so here we are. And was trying to figure out how Gil got to choose an osprey. The osprey is a a bridge device that connects the video camera from the video camera to the computer, and so so so. I don't think now in these next few minutes I want to try to start up again in that theme that I did last. But I think what I'll do is finish this 5-part series on Monday with the fourth noble truth, and then next week I was going to do the noble truths of happiness. This is what we did this week: the noble truths of suffering. And maybe that works really well because then I won't do an introductory Monday. I would just start on Tuesday with the 4 noble truths of happiness, which is not a Buddhist concept. I just made it up, but it's building on Buddhist teachings to offer the other side of the 4 noble truths. Because in fact, as much as it's important in Buddhism to study suffering, understand suffering, go through suffering, it's equally important to understand happiness and to enter into happiness, and even in a certain way, go through to the other side of happiness. And what would that be, the other side of happiness? It's not suffering, it's something even better than suffering, than even happiness. So we'll do that next week. And I'm very aware that we have the international, national, and maybe local challenges of all kinds. And some of them are very local to individual people of you all. And in my own way, I'm trying to address these things for all of us, offer support through these teachings, and it maybe not in a direct way, but in an indirect way. And I'll continue to do that for a while, probably. So thank you very much. And I see that there are, I can read the chats, and maybe if there's a single question that someone wants to ask about the topic of this week or something, I can try to say a few words for you before we stop at 7:45. And so it was very nice to be with you in this few minutes to finally get it working. And so it's very nice to see your names. And I saw earlier, on the other laptop, I did see that the people were on even though the camera wasn't working, and that's I was glad to see that the YouTube channel at least was on. And so, what's the fourth? The fourth noble truth is the noble truth to the end of suffering, and it's the path of practice that has this wonderful dual nature. That it's both the path that leads to the end of suffering, but it's also the path that emerges with the end of suffering. And so that this dual nature is quite fascinating. And so I'll talk a little bit about that next week. And some teachers say suffering is unavoidable, and sometimes that it can be ended. Are these two different types of suffering? That's a good question. I think that in ordinary human life, one way or the other, people are going to suffer, and that it doesn't mean non-stop, but sooner or later we have all kinds of things, and the art of it, or the challenge of it, is to understand what is optional suffering and what is the emotional pain that just comes with being a human being, that we can learn to not send any second arrows to, that we can just see as part of human life that we have to accept. Sickness, old age, and death is inevitable part of the world, and it is a kind of suffering, perhaps, but it's not the suffering that arises from clinging and craving. And so we're really, the Four Noble Truths is addressing the optional suffering, the suffering that we contribute to, the second, third, fourth, 100th arrows we add to our life. And so you have to always kind of, and the idea that this word dukkha, suffering, means different things in different contexts, goes back to the time of the Buddha. And so we have to appreciate that, and then you have to, which type of suffering are Dharma teachers talking about when they say that it's unavoidable, and which kind of suffering are they talking about that is avoidable, that can come to an end. And in the classic teachings, and maybe I'll talk about this next week, in fact, all suffering can come to a phenomenal end, but that even that is temporary, because some of the unavoidable sufferings of being human will return later. As our bodies get older and creakier and achier, it's possible to go into these deep states of meditation and have that disappear, and then returns when we come out of those states. So, but the emotional suffering, the optional emotional pain that we are responsible for, that can come to a complete end, and that doesn't have to return. And so that's why it's possible to go through life's challenges with much more ease and peace when our contributions to it don't cause us to be agitated. So thank you for showing up today and for hopefully being patient with the challenges here. And so I'll plan to pick this up on Monday. Thank you very much.